How's it going, everybody? For today's video, I'm going to be explaining some steps you can take to either keep your games in good condition, or mostly the focus of the video is going to be how to clean, restore, or refurbish video games. So I have here a few games that I just picked up today: Gumshoe, McKids, and Kirby's Adventure. So let me show you some good examples of what I'm talking about. You see here, there are some Sharpie marks there. Here we have a guy's name on the back of the, or initials rather, on the back of the game. Sometimes game labels are going to be ripped up or torn up here at the edges. Sometimes the stores are going to have stickers that are going to leave some sticky residue behind. And of course, sometimes you're just going to find games that have ripped up labels in poor condition. A label that's ripped up in this bad of condition really can't be restored unless you're just an amazing artist. However, all of the previous problems that I pointed out, I will be showing you how to take care of today. So, here are some of the supplies you'll need to do such restoration. Basic Windex. Here I have just a cup of water. WD-40, canned air or dust remover. This is probably going to be your best friend, which is a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, paper towels, and a black Sharpie. I would suggest a very fine tip, such as this, because you don't want to mess up the labels further when all you're trying to do is color in some ripped spaces. So, to begin, we'll start with Gumshoe here. So, looking at it, the two main concerns are the Sharpie smudge on the front and the initials on the back. So, for Sharpie, I suggest Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. All you have to really do is take the eraser, dip a corner in some water, give it a good wringing out so that it's very, very dry. You want it to be just slightly moist, no excessive moisture. I'm going to go to town on this cartridge here with the eraser. Already the Sharpie is lifting and I've barely even started. And so, just from that little bit of effort, you can see now that the smudge on the front is gone, the initials on the back have been removed. I mean, this is Sharpie we're talking about. It's not hard to remove Sharpie as long as you've got one of those right there. Finally, the last two steps that I like to do are just take some Windex and give it a light spritzing. Don't be too concerned about the label. You can get it on the label as long as you don't let it sit too long. And I just sort of like to spread it around with my finger. And I will flip it over and do the same on the back. Just a little bit, you don't want too much. And then just give it a good wipe down with the paper towel. Now you can see that it's not, you can't really tell it in the video too much, but this basically just removes any, little dust or small particles of whatever it might be. And then finally, what I like to do, just to be sure, is take the dust remover and just give a very quick spray down the bottom of the chip here. The chip is dust free. It's clean Sharpie has been removed, and you've probably just added on at least a few dollars worth of value to this game should you ever decide to turn around and sell it. Moving on to Kirby's Adventure here. Sometimes you're going to find these labels that have been stuck on for ages and they're incredibly hard to peel off. While this isn't going to be the case today, I will tell you, if you take a blow dryer to these, it takes a lot of time and patience, but eventually you will melt that glue and be able to lift them up. Thankfully today though, the label that I have on here is a fairly new game that has been traded in. Oh, but if you look under here, maybe so, there seems to be a secondary sticker put on. There is some nasty, sticky residue that's been left behind. And then if you look on the back label here, I mean, that's just easy to see. There's some blackened, sticky residue all over this label back here. So, rather than taking Windex to this, because all this is going to do is just start shredding up your paper towel, and it's going to create a bigger mess than you originally had. What you want to do is take, you can use Goo Gone, or you can use WD-40. Most people will say Goo Gone. WD-40 is a bit heavier duty, but as long as you're careful with it, it's fine. My biggest suggestion is try not to get it on the label. If you do, it's okay, just do not let it sit for very long, 30 seconds to a minute at the maximum. Otherwise it's going to start lifting the color up off the label and then you're going to get a faded label. So just apply a very little bit right here and rub that into the area and just let it sit for a moment. Once you've had the WD-40 sitting for a little bit, simply take your paper towel to it, apply a little bit of pressure, and simply begin to rub it away. Finished result will be a glue-free surface. Now that the front of the game has had its residue removed, if we turn it up and look at the top here, there are some very minor imperfections, such as right there on the black. Right up here on the top there you can see a little bit of a scuff, and it is a little nitpicky, but what you can do is you can take a black Sharpie and just go over the area with the black Sharpie, and truthfully I would say it's actually a lot better to do that than to just leave it alone. And this one isn't so much big of a deal. It is, however, just something I wanted to show you guys as an example, but sometimes you'll get labels on top that are just ripped up to heck, and it is worth your time to color over those with a black Sharpie like that. So, if you look at it now, where that small imperfection was in the label, it's now been colored over right there. It's now been colored over, so you can't really tell it. And finally, once again, I just go over this in Windex and give it a good little wipe down, and that'd be done with that. Moving on to the back surface here, this one is going to require a little bit more diligence simply because this is a label. And so I'm going to spray it with the WD-40, and I'm going to rub that into this label back here. However, you don't want to I'm not going to let this one sit too terribly long, simply because I do not want to mess up the label any more than it already is. Once it's been sitting for a minute, take your paper towel to it and just start to quickly rub the WD-40 away. And sadly enough, it's looking like on this label that the label had been previously cut. I've lifted out that, but these little cuts here in this label are not going to be fixable, sadly enough. I hope that you guys found this video to be pretty helpful in restoring or cleaning up any, well, less than reputable game owners may have had and treated poorly, and hope you guys enjoyed it.